Hello, this is Anton from the hyperadvisor.com. I wanted to go over a new version of the CloudStack deployment tool that I put together. I recently uploaded it to GitHub, so if you have not downloaded it, go ahead and get it. First thing, let me go ahead into it. I'm not going to go into the how you download it from GitHub. You can follow the documentation from online. So this assumes that you've already downloaded it, you've unpacked it, and we're now CD'd into the directory for CloudStack deploy. And I've also, in this case, right now I'm running it directly on my Mac, and this is a new supported feature of the tool. You can run it directly on your Mac, and you can also run it in a CentOS or on the CentOS OS. So I'm going to run it directly from my Mac here. I've also did the setup. So dash setup all, and what this does is it goes and downloads all the packages and things that are needed for the system. So if I go ahead and run that now, we'll have to give a couple passwords there. It'll go ahead and download everything, but since they're already installed, we should not get too much things that are going to install here. Looks like I did have a couple packages I did not have installed, so made me a liar. With the setup done, the next thing you'd have to do, and you may notice that the switches here are a little different from what they used to be. I've also added in here a little help, so you can go through and you can see the help and what switches are available and then how you use them. Most of them are the same as what they were before, except now you have to put dash or a dash in front of the different options for the installation. So now I'm going to do basically a get all. After you do the setup and you install all your dependencies, you do a get all, and you do the version that you want. Now the get all will download the RPMs for Apache CloudStack 4.5 in this case, and also the system templates. Before, you had to do this in a separate process where you would go in and you would do get RPM, then get system templates. I've added an option where you can just do it all in one fell swoop. So I'll go ahead and run that. It'll go out, it'll download the packages and put them in the right directories underneath the folder that we're in right here. I'm going to speed through this. This does take a little while for it to download both the RPMs and the system template, so I'll go and speed back through this and come back when I'm done. Alright, so the download process is done. We can see here it downloaded all the RPMs, copied them to the right directory, and it's done downloading the system template for KVM. So another note is the deployment tool only supports KVM, not Zen Server or VMware or any other hypervisor. KVM only. So now that the download is done, we can actually start doing deployments. Another thing that's changed with the deployment tool is that when you go through this process, I set it up so that it actually creates jobs now for each deployment, and you'll see that that'll come in useful for rerunning the same setup over and over again. So if you want to do this for testing or maybe some kind of lab or something, just for training people, you can set up the deployment. It'll save all the configs in a job, and then if you ever delete the virtual machine maybe that you're deploying this to just for the testing, or even just re-provision the physical machine, you can rerun that job with all the same parameters in place without having to go through the little wizard or prompts that I have here initially. So we're going to just go through a all-in-one setup here. It's really easy. If you've seen any of my videos before, it pretty much goes through here and asks you a few questions and you're done. So again, another new piece that I've changed in the code is that before I used to use Node.js, and I had a web server that I was using with Node. There was also a GUI, so a web page that you can go to, and it will create specific files so that you can run, and it would do the deployment. That's gone. Now I'm using the Python's simple HTTP server for that portion, and mainly that was to kind of simplify the deployment tool, so you don't have to install Node and all the dependencies for Node. So it makes the setup a lot quicker, and there's less stuff that needs to get installed. So let me go through this. I have a virtual machine that I have set up that I'm going to create the deployment for. This does work on physical machines. I've done deployments on physical machines. I'm only doing it on the virtual just for demonstration purposes. Let me go to a browser here. We can see that this IP does not have CloudStack installed. Look at the path there, and it's not coming up. So no trickery here. Go ahead and put the IP in. Do I want to load the system template? Of course. Do I want to use the internet? No, we've already downloaded them, so no need to do this. That'll just slow everything down. Pick one of the supported versions here, and then go ahead and add the SSH key to the local system here. In this setup, I will not create a zone, but if you look at the README on the GitHub page or previous videos, you can just go through the different prompts for setting up the basic zone, and it would do that deployment as well. Or after the deployment, it will add the basic zone for you. So I'm going to go ahead and do no here, and now I could actually start the installation. There's one thing that's not showing up in here, and what's not being asked for in here is the NFS server. So I'm not sure if you noticed that, but when you're going to do the templates here, install the system template, you need to actually have an NFS mount point in order to point to and do that process. So what I've done is added a runbook that will provision NFS to the on the all-in-one system, and it only works for the all-in-one, and it does it by default. So you don't need an external NFS server anymore. I got a lot of questions, and sometimes I had people who had issues with the external NFS server. So I've added it in, baked it in. This is now it's much easier for people to actually consume or get CloudStack deployed. I can go ahead and select yes here, and it will start deployment, but I'm going to hit no. I want to point out one thing before I do no is that it created a job ID. So this job ID basically under the covers created a folder structure, and within that folder structure for the jobs, this job ID has all the stuff that we need for deployment here. So I'm going to click no. Let me run through the command prompt here, and what you get is a list, and you can list all, and we can see here that there's a job right there, and this job, all the jobs will get listed. If I had more than one, there would be more than one job here. So if I want to deploy this job, all I would have to do is do install all. Now if you added a zone and you want the zone to be created, you would also add all zone, but we don't have a zone included in this one, so we're just going to do all and then the job ID, right? So why do I have jobs? I've kind of went through some of the reasons why I have the job, or I added that piece in there. But one other thing is that, you know, I can actually create multiple jobs and I can run more than one job. So if I want to deploy a couple CloudStack all-in-one systems, I can open up another terminal, create another job, and run these at the same time if I wanted to. So that's another benefit. I won't show that here, but that's another plus for having the job, so that you can run more than one job. If you can put this on a server, give multiple people access to it, and they can all use it to deploy CloudStack, maybe development environments or just test environments or training environments. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter here. It's going to ask for a password, and we're going to go ahead through the process. So it tries to start the web server. If it's started already, then nothing happens. You can see it identifies the job here, and it's going to go through the process like it has before of installing all the dependencies. Then it'll go ahead and install the database, the management server, the KVM agents, and NFS, and then I'll go ahead and install the import the template, system templates in there. And we'll go ahead and let that go through its process. It takes a little bit of time. On my system, I do have a lot of stuff going, so it may take a little bit for that to go. So I'll be back. Alright, so now the job is done. We can go ahead and check that it's up. And we can see that it is up. Go ahead and log into it, and everything's working as it should. Alright, so let me see what else. So we do have the jobs. We can go in. One other thing, I did change I guess the name here. It's not that important. I left out the dash. Now we can go ahead and list all. We can also delete. So if we look at the help, we can do a D for the delete, and we can delete the job just by putting the ID, or we can put in all and it'll delete every job as well. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. Of course, if you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you have any feedback, you can go on GitHub for this particular project, or on my website at thehyperadvisor.com. Peace.